Well, hello there, YouTube. It's me, again. Getting sick of this yet? I know I am. Just kidding. JK. JK. 5 more things. First one is a book. And this book I actually dropped straight on into the bathtub. I'm gonna warn you kids, when you get older, you can just fall asleep anytime, any place, any situation, just like this. And oftentimes when I'm having like a Sunday morning bath or some shit, taking it easy, and even though I just woke up and I just had a sleep during the night, I'm still fucking tired. I'm reading my book, I'm asleep, boom, into the tub. This is not the first time I've done this. And look at this thing now. It's all bucked up. Took a long time to dry out too, but it is what it is. It adds character, right? Anyways, this book is another one in the Marvel Legends of Asgard line, and it is called The Rebels of Vanaheim. Basically, King Odin tasks Heimdall and a Valkyrie friend that he made during, I think, his adventure during the last book I reviewed. I think that's where they met, in The Head of Mimir, that book. Her name is Ushi, and they've become friends and trust each other. So Odin dispatches the two of them to the realm of Vanaheim to investigate the growing threat of the Draugr, which basically are like zombies sort of things, and they're terrorizing the lands, and they're getting closer to Asgard, and they're just becoming a royal pain in the ass. They've always been around, but lately they seem like they're everywhere, and that they're a little different than normal. Normally they're kind of more brainless, but these ones seem to be like more coordinated and just more of a pain in the ass, basically. So Heimdall actually happens to be from Vanaheim, and he goes back to his home. His parents own a castle and all that shit, and but he can tell as soon as he gets there something's strange, something's off. His parents aren't acting normally, and there's a lot of anti-Asgard feelings in the air going on. So he's like, something's up and we got to get to the bottom of it. And he's like, I'm gonna hang around here, see what I can glean. Ushi, who lives nearby, or is from a place nearby, she has her own parental problems, and he's like, why don't you go try and sort them out? I'll see what I can find here, and then we'll meet up and whatever. She goes to her home, and something's off there too. So the two of them finally reunite, and they just go on this kind of adventure to find the source of the Draugr curse, where the source of this power is coming from and why. And they find this big plot against King Odin and the Asgardians that will unravel Asgard if it comes to fruition, and it's coming from a source that is kind of breaks Heimdall and Ushi's heart, how this is happening. So they have even more incentive to stop this threat from happening, not only to save Asgard, their new home, but to save some other stuff that's very near and dear to them too. So so it's just another Heimdall story where he's basically saving the realm again, right? Like, it's what he does. Here I was thinking he just looked over the Bifrost Bridge, right? But I guess in his early days he was quite an adventurer. Next up, finished watching the 16th season of The Simpsons. This one aired 2004-2005 this season, and contained 21 episodes. Once again, the quality I thought was spot on, consistent with the seasons that had come before it. No decline or anything like that. And there was actually some really funny episodes in this one. Mr. Burns cancels the nuclear plant's prescription drug program, so Homer and his dad end up running pills from Canada, getting cheap medication in Canada, and running it down to Springfield. It was a really funny episode. Anytime Canada's mentioned, it's of course it's special to us Canadians, right? But it's also really funny on top of that. Bart, the school introduces a new nutrition program, and they put all these vending machines in the school that are all full of like sugary colas and stuff like that. And Bart, being Bart, ends up drinking and eating so much that he ends up having a heart attack as a young child. What else? Homer, Springfield legalizes gay marriage, but of course Reverend Lovejoy doesn't want any part of that, so Homer becomes a legal minister and is just doing gay marriages by the boatload out of his garage, basically, and he becomes he becomes the man for that, and it's a really funny episode. And Patty comes out of the closet in that one, surprising Marge as well. And then Selma, one episode, Selma, who's going through menopause, ends up flying the Simpson family to China so she can adopt a child, and Homer kind of fake stands in as her husband, which is really funny since, you know, they hate each other, right? My favorite one, though, was Homer was feeling very down and unwanted with events at home and stuff like that, and he couldn't get through his chore list, and one of the chores he had to do was fix the roof. So he ends up calling a roofer. This roofer shows up, and he's a really nice guy. They really get along. Homer helps him do the job, but nobody ever sees this roofer, right? And he keeps going on about this roofer, he's great, he's whatever. So people start to think that Homer's like having mental problems. He's imagined this best friend of his, this roofer guy, right? And the roofer is played by Ray Romano. It's his voice, and the character looks like Ray Romano, right? So I love Everybody Loves Raymond. That's like one of my favorite sitcoms of all time. So anytime Ray Romano guest stars on any show, whether it's live or animated, I always get a kick out of it, right? Because I love that show. So in the end, Homer is proven correct that yes, this roofer actually does exist. So great season, enjoyed it just like I have all of the ones that have come before it. 17 will be up soon, as you can get. Next up, a couple movies. G.I. Joe Origins, Snake Eyes, or just Snake Eyes for short. Snake Eyes, probably most people's favorite G.I. Joe character. Everybody always loves a ninja that basically seems like they're indestructible, right? This is kind of Snake Eyes' origin story, which it's not exactly like it was like in the comic books and the TV show and stuff like that. The basic premise behind it is, but not the details sort of thing. So I just took the movie for what it was. It was a really good movie. I enjoyed it. But just like the newest Star Wars trilogy, Disney fucking changed things around and basically threw all the old Star Wars books out the window with what actually happened after Return of the Jedi and created these new movies. So I take them for what they're worth, enjoy them as a standalone. But what happened in the books is actually how Star Wars went, right? So you got to kind of separate and be fine with both ways, right? So in this movie, it starts with a scene with a young child and his father in this little remote house out in the woods somewhere, and they end up getting attacked. The kid's father's like, you gotta hide, you can't let them know you're here. So this kid basically watches his father get attacked by these guys, and the guy that's attacking them makes this little kid's father roll dice for the fate of his life. He rolls Snake Eyes, the guy kills him, and little kid is like, ah! A couple decades later, it flashes forward, and this young kid is now grown, and he's competing in this like underground fighting circuit sort of thing, when he attracts the attention of a guy named Kenta, I think, who is like a Yakuza kind of boss or something like that, and he recruits Snake Eyes, now that what he's called, into his ranks, and soon enough, the Kenta wants Snake Eyes to off one of the guys in their gang for, I can't remember what the charges were, why they want him dead, but he wants Snake Eyes to do this, and this guy's name is Tommy. Snake Eyes appears as though he's going along with it, but in the end he reverses, he saves Tommy, they escape, and Tommy takes Snake Eyes with him back to Tokyo, where Snake Eyes learns that Tommy is a descendant of a family that are from the Arashikage clan, which is like a ninja clan, great warriors, and Kenta is actually Tommy's cousin, and they both want eventual leadership of this clan, right? So Snake Eyes is welcomed into the Arashikage, and he has to go through these tests to determine if he's fit to stay and study with them and learn their ways, sort of thing, right? Tommy's grandmother is tentative but happy to have Snake Eyes on, and then there's the head of security, Akiko, I think her name is not into Snake Eyes. She doesn't trust him. She doesn't want him there, so she's always looking over him. So he basically goes through these three challenges, these tests, to deem his worthiness. But what they don't know is Snake Eyes is actually an operative working for Kenta still, and he just staged Tommy's escape to make it look good, because Kenta has promised Snake Eyes the identity of his father's murderer, and that's what he's after mainly. But of course, as time goes by, spending time with Tommy and the Arashikage clan, his viewpoints change and that sort of thing. So it's kind of this story where he comes around, but fortune's kind of reversed, because things don't end all that well for Tommy at the end of the movie, who, after what happens to him, adopts the moniker Storm Shadow, and there's your Snake Eyes versus Storm Shadow kind of setup for the G.I. Joe series, right? So Storm Shadow's amazing as well. I love, like, every kid loves ninjas, you know. They may not be your favorite thing, but everybody loves them, you know. So in the original G.I. Joe cartoon and comics and stuff, like, the whole Snake Eyes Storm Shadow thing was just always a source of fun and excitement. Everybody loved those guys, and still do. Next up, another movie, Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. This synopsis is going to be really short, because it's kind of a confusing movie with the multiverse and all the different realities they pop in on. So basically, we see America Chavez and Doctor Strange being pursued by this demon at the start of the movie. They're trying to get to this book that can be their salvation, but Doctor Strange is killed, and America Chavez opens up a passage to one of the realities in the multiverse, and they go to find help from the other Doctor Strange in that one, and eventually our Doctor Strange, that would be in our world, ends up going to the Scarlet Witch for help, to see if because America Chavez is being pursued by this demon because of her ability to pop in and out of any reality in the multiverse, basically at will, sort of thing. I think they want that power for themselves. So Doctor Strange goes to Scarlet Witch on her farm, and in talking to her, soon discovers that she's actually the one behind the whole plot to get America Chavez and everything. And she's been through some pain and suffering. She's lost the two kids that she basically imagined up out of nowhere. I can't remember I don't know if that happened in one of the movies previously, or if that's something that happened in WandaVision, because I haven't seen WandaVision, and I don't remember some of the earlier movies well enough to know if that happened in the movies or not. So basically, her two sons have been lost to her, and but they aren't real. She never really gave birth to them. She just kind of created them. So it's kind of weird. But basically, she wants a reality with her kids back. So she's kind of doing it for very selfish reasons, but not for truly evil reasons, right? But nonetheless, she's causing all sorts of pain and suffering for other people by doing so. So it's basically up to Doctor Strange to shut this bitch down, right? So, and that's the rest of the movie just unravels as they try to do this. And like I said, there's lots of in and outs of realities and different characters coming in. It's like the thing I was saying the other day with time travel. Like, I always get confused with time travel, because you kind of, how does this all fit together and work, right? Same thing with the multiverse, right? So I try not to get too far into it, because everything I'm saying is probably wrong, right? Because I'm confused. So just watch the movie and you can figure it out for yourself, basically. It's a good movie, though. It's good. Last up, NHL 22, the Chel. This game apparently was the first game to use a new engine called Frostbite. switching over from an engine called Ignite, which I guess the last 7 games in the series were used on that one. So it's got a different feel to it. I liked NHL 20 the best of the most recent games. I just found something about that game really jived with me. But NHL 22 was pretty good as well. It would have been kind of one of the ones next on the list after that. I liked it better than 21 for some reason, even though 21 should have been close to 20, right? I don't know. Sometimes you just get a feel for a game, and sometimes you don't as much. But I did really enjoy 22. I think they added women's leagues you could play in for the first time. I think that was new to this game. They also added some new animations and abilities for players. Like they all have these. The superstars have these X Factor abilities now, like Austin Matthews, for example, has Make It Snappy. So he has this incredible snapshot, which I think increases your likelihood to score sometimes, but also they talk about the X Factor ability during the game when it happens, and there's different animations the character goes through when they perform it, sort of thing. There's also, one of the things I like the best is, you don't run into it often, but it does happen every once in a while, is like a reverse hit, where the guy that's about to be hit goes at the other guy first and knocks him on his ass, sort of thing. So that was a cool thing to add into the game. But basically you have all the same things as usual: the franchise mode, the season mode, blah blah blah, the online leagues, that sort of thing. Of course, the Seattle Kraken are in the game for the first time as the expansion team that year, so you've got that team in there. So not much else I can say other than we just talked about NHL 14 last time around, so that's that was 8 years before this one, and you can definitely see a marked difference between the two games, but not as much as you would think in 8 years, because this series is so consistent and has been so top-notch right from the get-go, sort of thing, right? So they always do it right. Sometimes the features and the new gameplay, sometimes you don't like. Sometimes it doesn't jive well with you, like when they added the skating where you couldn't turn when you were on a speed burst because you had to, you're taking the big long route. I didn't like that, but it made sense for them to try it, so sometimes you may not necessarily jive with a new feature, but they never throw anything in that's like stupid, right? It's all stuff that makes sense, even if you may not kind of be into it. But yeah, they never just do anything stupid. These games are always top notch, done to the T, and just perfect all around. So we've, as you can tell by my gameplay footage, if you watch any of that, we've also started NHL 23. We just got that on sale a while back. So there will always be more Chel coming, because we're never going to not buy a new Chel game. It's just a matter of when can we get it on sale, and how soon can we get the 82 regular season games plus playoffs complete. So there will always be Chel.